Cody, is what you told State Police
against Governor Shapiro.
Is what you told State Police
Cody, why did you hate the governor?
Why do you say you hate the governor?
Cody, why do you hate the governor? Tell me anything.
Cody, why did you do it?
Cody, is the confession you gave State Police accurate?
This morning, an arrest after police say an arsonist tried to kill Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro by setting fire to his official residence. The fire blackened damage evident, part of the mansion left uninhabitable.
This type of violence is not okay. This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society. And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other.
At around 2 a.m. on Sunday, April 13th, 2025, the house of Josh Shapiro, governor of Pennsylvania in the United States of America, faced a very brutal and daring attack. Now, it turns out that this was just some few hours after the governor, Josh Shapiro, and his family and loved ones had just celebrated Passover and had just retired to bed. But then they were suddenly awoken by the security agencies and evacuated safely out of the house, and nobody was actually hurt. That's the good thing. But then it begged the question, who was responsible for this? Because definitely it didn't look like something that had started on its own. Now, investigations would ensue, and it will turn out that a mechanic called Cody Balmer, who had previously expressed a lot of disdain for Democrats, was actually connected to this fire, and he was subsequently arrested early Sunday at Pennsylvania. Now, the question is, how did this guy, who is a mechanic, a 39-year-old mechanic, how was he able to gain access into the residence of Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion? And this is a question that I know how he's said to have done it, but I think probably the security on duty would still have to be asked how he was able to breach their perimeter, breach their security, and get access into the residence. I think that is where the main question is. And then we come to his motives, and I'm going to get into all that. But this is what Cody Balmer is alleged to have done. So he scaled over the fence. Although there are several security cameras, some way, somehow, he was able to get onto the compound without being immediately detected. He was able to worm his way through the security on the compound, and armed with a hammer, he was able to break a window and then light 2 Molotov cocktails and throw them into the governor's mansion through the window that he had broken with his hammer. Now, it's alleged that the fuel or accelerant was something he had in his mower, so he drained it and poured it into 2 Heineken bottles or 2 beer bottles, and then he developed that Molotov cocktail. I'm sure you know how it is. And it still begs the question, how did the guy beat all this security? Fortunately, the governor and his family were not hurt. Nobody was injured. But if you see the extent of the damage of the fire, you can see it. Look at the damage. Look at the damage. That was really intense. And it's also about how he was apprehended. The police or the security agencies didn't really have to do much, because it turns out that a lady described as his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend apparently snitched on him and told the security agencies that Josh Balmer had actually confided in her that he was responsible for the attack on Governor Josh Shapiro. And so she just relayed the information, and then they picked up Cody Balmer, and Cody Balmer allegedly admitted to having done it. I think that's one of the easiest arrests that these forces may have made in a long time. But When they picked him up, a lot of conversations came up again between suspect Cody Balmer and the security agencies who picked him up. So for starters, they asked him, why did he do that? And it's alleged that he indicated that he wasn't really a fan of Josh Shapiro and that he had a deep-seated issue with him. Then they asked him, so what would he have done if he had met Josh Shapiro face to face at the time he breached the security of his premises and gained access to the residence? And to this question, Cody Balmer is alleged to have actually told the security agencies that if he had physically met Josh Shapiro at the time he breached the security and got access to the premises, he would have beaten him with the sledgehammer he had. Now, I don't know. It seems like a whole lot. It seems like this guy is harboring a lot. We don't know whether he meant it or there are even rumors that he has a mental issue. He has a psychological issue, a mental health issue, and that his mom is allegedly saying that he's been off his meds and all. But this is what is also being alleged as he had done. Because he's alleged to have actually admitted to harboring hatred towards Governor Shapiro. And, you know, on his part, Governor Shapiro also said that his wife and their 4 children, 2 dogs, and another family, after they had just celebrated the Jewish Passover, they were awakened by these state troopers. And when he was granting this interview, you could see that he was really shaking. It seemed like he was trying not to show it, but it was a bit visible. And it's quite understandable because, hey, what if the agencies hadn't woken them up early? You never know. But then the other question, like I said, how come this single guy was able to breach this security? One would expect that there would be so much robust security around someone as high profile as Governor Shapiro. And it wouldn't be possible for a 39-year-old mechanic who probably doesn't have any recon training or any security protocol training to be able to breach. But well, who knows? Maybe he has his own level of intelligence because he's also someone who is very vocal. And I'm sure if he planned to do this, maybe he also took his time to learn some clandestine ways of moving. Who knows? When you look at him, it looks like he's someone who is ready to go all the way to do what he wants to do or what he believes he has to do. It's very unfortunate. But I think that the most important thing is that they were all safe and nobody got injured. Now, to this, Cody Balmer is now in deep waters because as it stands now, he has been charged with terrorism and he's likely to be charged for the arson in itself as well. And maybe other charges may also come in because at this point in time, he's alleged to have even admitted that he did this thing and he has stated his motive for doing so. So I wouldn't be surprised if other charges are added to the charge of domestic terrorism because as it stands now, he has already availed himself for a lot of things to come his way by virtue of the fact that he has already accepted it. I haven't had any indication of he having been assigned an attorney or he even asking to be given one, but I'm following. I'll bring you updates as and when they are due. Stay safe. I'll keep you posted.